Alright guys, I got a fun one for you today. We're going to be making the chimichanga. The chimchang? The changalanga. The chimichang. The chimmy boy. Okay, that's enough. But we're making the chimichanga, which seems to have come from a restaurant called El Charro in Tucson, Arizona. I'm really excited to learn more about it, to just jump right into the recipe. But before that, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more of my content. But for now, let's get cooking. So this recipe has a couple of elements to it. We're making homemade tortillas, our very own red sauce, along with other prep steps, all to bring together our chimichanga. Now, let's get into step one. To make our tortillas, we're going to need flour. More specifically, we need bread flour, but you can also use all-purpose flour. To a mixing bowl, you're going to add 450 grams of flour, 7 grams of kosher salt, and 100 grams of lard. Mix it with your hands, performing a little pinching motion until you start getting little pellets like this in the mix. Next, add 250 milliliters or 1 cup of water as hot as you can handle it to the touch. Stir that all together with your hands, make sure they are clean, you nasty. Once you have a dough, take it out of your mixing bowl and knead it for 10 minutes. Wrap your plump little dough boy in a plastic wrap and let sit at room temperature for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, you're going to take the dough boy and cut him up into 6 equal weight pieces. On a lightly floured surface, we're going to roll our dough balls. The technique you want to use is to roll out from your body, turn the disc slightly, then roll out again. This will help keep the tortillas round. Roll your tortillas until you can start to see your fingers through the dough. Normally these would be cooked in a cast iron skillet, but mine isn't big enough for these. So I'm going to heat up a pizza stone to the highest heat my oven can go, which is 550 degrees. To the hot stone, add one of your tortillas and put in the oven for 1 minute. After 1 minute, flip the tortilla and let cook for 30 seconds. Once that's done, take your puffed up little tortilla that keeps trying to run away. He knows what's about to happen to him. Don't let him escape. You've worked too hard for this. Take the tortilla and keep in a clean dish towel to keep from drying out and to stay warm. Repeat this with your other 5 dough balls and you'll have some of the best tortillas you'll ever have. Time for our spicy chili sauce. You'll need 6 red chilies, 2 dried California chilies, 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1/2 cup of water, 1 teaspoon dried oregano, 1/2 cup white vinegar, 1/2 teaspoon coriander, 1 teaspoon of peppercorns, 1 teaspoon kosher salt, 2 cloves of garlic, 1/4 of a white onion, and 10 cherry tomatoes. We're going to start with our roasted vegetables. Cut your tomatoes in half, give the onions a rough chop, and crush and peel the garlic cloves. Add them to a small baking sheet lined with foil, drizzle a small amount of olive oil, and add a pinch of kosher salt, then mix so that everything is coated. I'm going to be using the broiler setting of my microwave oven for this, but you can easily use the broiler in your oven for this as well. Just keep an eye on your veggies. Turn on your boiler and let the veggies cook until the tops start to blacken. This will not take long. It only took 3 minutes for this little guy to do it, so please watch your veggies. Remove them from the heat and let them sit until needed. Next, we're going to toast our peppercorns. Heat up your peppercorns in a pan just until fragrant, then remove from the heat. In a blender or a food processor, add your peppercorns and grind until turned into a fine powder. Now for the spice. To rehydrate the peppers, add them with the stems removed to a hot pan and let toast until fragrant. Add your water and vinegar, remove from the heat, and let sit covered for 10 minutes. To a blender, add all of your seasonings, roasted vegetables, and your rehydrated peppers with the liquid. Blend the sauce until smooth. Once blended, taste your sauce to make sure you're satisfied with it. For me, this was on point. To a lightly oiled pan, add 1/4 of a diced onion and 5 cherry tomatoes, also diced. Cook until softened and starting to brown. Then add 1 pound of ground beef. Cook until completely brown, then add half of your chili sauce. Cook the meat in the sauce until reduced. You don't want that much liquid in the meat. Once reduced, remove from the heat. Real quick, let's prepare our sour cream. To a bowl, add 1 cup of sour cream along with the zesting juice of 1 lime. Stir until combined. After tasting, I ended up adding just a tiny bit of salt, just for flavor. Then I stirred it in, and boom, a tasty lime sour cream. Now, before we assemble our chimichanga, let's look into a brief history of El Charro and the birth of the chimichanga. The story of the chimichanga isn't entirely clear. It seems like a Mexican dish, but no Mexican national will take credit for the creation of the chimichanga. it really isn't a traditional food for the Mexican people. But even the possibility of the chimichanga coming from Mexico still places it being introduced when immigrants were going through Arizona. Another story claims that the chimichanga was invented in 1952 in Phoenix, Arizona. A man named Woody Johnson, a founder of Macayo's Mexican restaurant, claims to have made the chimichanga. However, the story I find most interesting is the story of Tia Monica of El Charro Café in Tucson, Arizona. In 1922, Monica Flynn was in the kitchen making snacks for the kids of her family when she accidentally made the chimichanga. Her niece and current owner of El Charro, Carlota Flores, recalls that her Tia Monica was cooking snacks for all of them when she accidentally dropped a burrito into the deep fryer. The name chimichanga came from her about to release a curse word, but then changing the word because she saw kids were around. Thus, chimichanga seems to be a similar phrase to gosh darn it or dag nabbit or oh frick. That was the birth of the chimichanga, and it became a staple of the restaurant because who doesn't love just anything deep fried? Nowadays, the meat they use to fill the chimichanga is something else the restaurant is famous for. It has the meat dangling in the air above the restaurant in a cage. It's marinated meat that dries in the sun before going into the chimichanga. It's actually illegal to do this, but El Charro was doing it long before the law was made, so they gave an exception to El Charro. El Charro has been in business since 1922, which makes it the oldest Mexican restaurant run by the same family. Definitely something to check out if you're ever making a trip through Arizona. But that is a brief history of El Charro and the chimichanga. Now, let's get back to the recipe. Now let's make our chimichanga. For the fillings, we need chopped romaine lettuce, chopped avocado, making sure to sprinkle some salt on that, along with some grated Colby Jack cheese. To assemble, we're going to smear some sour cream, then place the beef on next. Then we'll add the cheese, the lettuce, and the avocado. To wrap your burrito, bring in the sides and then roll over the fillings. Make sure to make this tight while rolling by pinching at the base of the wrap. Next, fold the wrap like an envelope and continue rolling. And there you have it, a perfectly rolled burrito. To turn your burrito into a chimichanga, we'll need to fry it. I'm using this rack here to keep the burrito from sticking to the bottom, but it's not necessary. Bring some vegetable oil up to 320 degrees, then place your burrito in the oil. Cook for 5 minutes on each side or until it reaches the desired golden brown. Once we are nice and crispy, let's move this to a cooling rack to let sit for about 2 minutes. Now, let's cut into this to see the absolute beauty of our creation. All that's left now is to pour some of the leftover red sauce on top, and there she is. A literal heart attack waiting to happen, but totally worth having such a delicious dish. All right, let's try this. Oh my goodness, hold on. I'll get to you in a minute. Hold on. So good! Well, I guess you don't need me to tell you what I think about it. Oh my goodness, this is so freaking good. The crunch from the tortilla, the red sauce on top, the beef is perfectly cooked. All the fillings, the sour cream, the avocado, the lettuce, everything just comes together, and it really, this is by far the best chimichanga I've ever had. It's not exactly the recipe from El Charro, but the recipe from El Charro calls for meat that's dangling from a crane in a cage in the sun for weeks on end. So, yeah, I'm not doing that. But this ground beef, and also from what I can tell, the innards pretty regular. I know with their marinated meat, they also have it sauteed with the onions and tomatoes, so that's why I did that. Fantastic, absolutely astonishing. I highly recommend making this. It is just, it'll be the best chimichanga you ever had. But until next time, see you later. Thanks again for watching. Make sure to hit the like button if you liked the video and subscribe to see more of my content. But I'll see you next time when we head over to Arkansas.